Welcome back. All right, so I thought it would be fun to do just a quick preview of the draft and using the draft picks as they are and all that. And then a trade takes place, and it threw me off because I'm like, wait a minute. So 21 and 26, according to these websites, are. Oh, a trade was made while I was putting this together. So the Montreal Canadiens have moved up to 21st in this draft. The LA Kings have traded down to 26th. So there's somebody Montreal wants they're not sure is going to be there at 26th. So Montreal has 5th and 21st, but let's go through this. So the San Jose Sharks have the number one draft pick. I was half tempted just to put Macklin Celebrini's name on the board. I haven't, but we know he's going there. The Chicago Blackhawks, it looks like, are leaning towards drafting a defenseman at number two, which would leave pretty tantalizing forwards there at 3, 4, and potentially 5. We'll see what Montreal does and how this goes because, again, Kent Hughes has been very aggressive. So, I mean, we're all assuming they're going to draft at 5, but maybe a player that they want is going to be available at 8. Maybe they swing a deal with Seattle, that kind of thing, right? So, the earliest draft pick that's been moved was from yesterday, where San Jose acquired the number 11 pick from Buffalo. The Buffalo pick at 14 was originally Pittsburgh's. And so, yeah, Chicago, then Anaheim, Columbus, Montreal, and of course Columbus. That pick seen as being in play. Utah drafts at 6. I'd be very surprised if Utah moved that pick, but I'm sure they'll listen. I'm sure that a lot of teams in the top 10 are at least going to listen. And I'm looking forward to getting proper Utah magnets at some point too. For the Ottawa Senators, they drafted 7, Seattle 8th, Calgary 9th, and New Jersey rounds out the top 10. New Jersey's pick seen as potentially being in play. I don't think Calgary is going to move the number 9 pick, but again, there's the chance that teams may move up, move down the same way as Montreal and LA have done. So maybe when Calgary's turn is up at 9, they say, you know what, the guy we want is going to be available later. Philadelphia called us earlier. They want that pick, so we'll trade that and we'll get the guy we want at 12. That kind of thing, right? Minnesota drafts 13th, and then as mentioned, Buffalo. Detroit's at 15, St. Louis at 16, and then the Caps at 17 before the Chicago Blackhawks use the Islanders draft pick at 18. The Islanders traded down a couple weeks ago. Was it a couple weeks ago? Months? What are days? And then Vegas drafts 19th. We have to assume that Vegas is going to draft at 19th, but you never know. Vegas is pretty aggressive, so would I be surprised if they traded that pick? Not really. The Islanders at 20 with that pick they acquired from Chicago, which Chicago had acquired from Tampa Bay. As previously mentioned, the Montreal Canadiens move up to 21st. Nashville's drafting 22nd, Toronto 23rd, Colorado 24th, Boston 25th on the board. They got that draft pick back in that trade with Ottawa. And again, Boston needs some good young prospects. So at 25, hopefully they draft the best player available. LA, as previously mentioned, trade down to 26th. This is Winnipeg's draft pick. This is the one that Montreal got in the Sean Monahan deal. So the Monahan deal still getting Montreal somewhere as they've now moved up to 21st. Carolina drafts 27th. Vancouver traded their first round pick to Calgary in the Lindholm deal. And so Calgary drafts 28th. Dallas drafts 29th. The Rangers draft 30th. And then Anaheim has Edmonton's draft pick at 31st. And Florida's 32nd draft pick goes to Philly. If you root for a contending team that would have been drafting in this area, odds are they're probably not drafting for a while. Tampa Bay doesn't draft, for instance, till the 4th round, and there are some teams that have a first round draft pick that don't have another draft pick until the 4th round as well. I think Toronto is one of those teams. I think Colorado. There's a bunch, and Florida doesn't draft for a while. But again, building a contending team, you're probably going to be moving out your first round draft pick at the deadline or shortly before the deadline. So this is kind of standard procedure. Teams to watch at this draft for having a lot of draft picks. So Anaheim has the most draft picks in the first 3 rounds with 7. Tied with that mark is Utah, also with 7. Utah, I will see at the draft. This will give us a good idea about whether or not they're going to be aggressive about improving things or just take all your draft picks and go. Utah, of course, the former Arizona Coyotes, a lot of draft picks for Utah over the next couple of years. They could really weaponize those to make their team better over the shorter term, but we shall see. The Flames have 6 draft picks in the first 3 rounds. They are tied with Chicago in that regard. The Blackhawks with six draft picks in the first 3 rounds as well. And we'll see what Chicago does. Drafting at 2 and 18, they're going to get a couple of pretty good players. Number 2, they're going to get an excellent player. And again, we'll see if they draft. I think it's Slavshunov that they're seeing as potentially drafting. If they leave Demidov there, you've got to think Anaheim's going to sprint up to the podium and grab him immediately. And then with five picks in the first 3 rounds, you have Nashville, the Flyers, San Jose, Seattle, the Blues, and the Washington Capitals all have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. So tomorrow we will be doing the live stream for round 2 and beyond. Usually I get into round 3 before I give up, because it drags. I don't know why it drags. And then you get them talking over draft picks. So they'll be like, hey, look who just got drafted at 74th. Yeah, but you skipped 71 through 73. So I'll be using this board tonight for the live stream and writing down who gets drafted by which team. And then tomorrow I don't use the whiteboard because I tried that once and it was a hassle. It was awful. So yeah, tomorrow it'll just be, hey, we're going to watch the draft and see what happens. But we're going to see movement, I would think, at the draft table. The fact that we've already seen the Hawks and the Islanders make that swap, San Jose and Buffalo make that swap, and the Kings and Montreal Canadiens make that one as well. I don't think we're done with swapping draft picks. This is seen as being a good draft class. Not stellar, not absolutely fantastic, which is part of the reason why you're seeing draft picks get moved, I think. But it is seen as a pretty good draft, especially for defensemen. There are some very good defensemen in this draft. And so, yeah, let me know your thoughts. Who do you think goes where? That kind of thing. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I did a mock draft like a month ago. That mock draft now, well, with Montreal and LA switching spots, we'll see how it ends up working out. But yeah, so looking forward to seeing everybody tonight for the live stream. Should be a lot of fun. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe. And one question, which team do you think is going to be most aggressive about making trades during the draft? And do you think it's going to be quiet? Do you think there's going to be a lot of noise and then nothing happens? We've had that experience before. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.